It was said that swarms of bees drowned themselves in the South China Sea, and a dragon streaked across the sky above the port of Vung Dao. An American diplomat transplanted a black orchid from the Central Highlands to a tree outside the embassy, and his staff accused him of cursing South Vietnam. During a state dinner for a delegation of American congressmen at Independence Palace, a gust of wind blew through the banquet hall, extinguishing candles and flapping the white curtains like flags of surrender. A cabinet minister whispered to an American that it was a bad sign. A more palpable bad sign appeared on January 6, 1975, when white flags fluttered as North Vietnamese troops entered Phuoc Binh, the ramshackle capital of mountainous and thinly populated Phuoc Long province. The town was only 66 miles north of Saigon, but with its large population of montagnards, a catch-all term for Vietnam's tribal peoples, and with its main boulevard doubling as a landing strip for the cargo planes that had become its lifeline after communist troops cut its surrounding highways, it felt more like an outpost on a distant frontier. 20,000 seasoned North Vietnamese Army, NVA regulars, easily overwhelmed its defenders, a ragtag collection of militiamen and regular troops. President Nguyen Van Thieu flew an 800 elite South Vietnamese Army, ARVN Rangers, and ordered them to hold the town at all costs. 100 survived, and, according to the official government account, the few province, village, and hamlet officials who were captured were summarily executed. Phuoc Long had little strategic or economic value, but losing an entire province was a psychological catastrophe for South Vietnam. Thieu closed cinemas and nightclubs, declared 3 days of national mourning, and ordered Phuoc Long will be retaken, banners hung over boulevards. North Vietnam's Chief of Staff, General Van Tien Dung, wrote that the battle had demonstrated that the United States lacked the political will to re-enter the war. South Vietnamese Chief of Staff General Gao Van Vien called it the Communists' first big step toward total military conquest, boldly taken, yet apparently without fear of any reaction from the United States, and asked, what more encouragement could the Communists have asked for? Soon after Phuoc Long fell, 2 of Washington's foremost Vietnam experts, Sandy Berger and Douglas Pike, were walking down the mall after judging a doctoral thesis titled, "Is the South Vietnamese Defense Viable Without the Americans?" Its author claimed that it was. They disagreed. "It's all over, isn't it?" Berger asked. Pike took a few steps before saying, "Yeah, it is." Meanwhile, the State Department and the Pentagon were telling some personnel who had been on home leave over the holidays not to return to South Vietnam. Nelson Keefe, a military intelligence officer operating undercover as a civilian in the Central Highlands, received orders to recruit stay-behind agents. President Gerald Ford issued a statement condemning communist aggression, but several days later neglected to mention Vietnam during his State of the Union address, and told reporters that he could not foresee any set of circumstances leading him to order U.S. military units back to Vietnam. In fact, there was little he could do without outraging Congress and the American people. The U.S. Senate had passed an amendment in June 1973 named for Senators Clifford Case, Republican, New Jersey, and Frank Church, Democrat, Idaho, that prohibited the Pentagon from funding U.S. military operations in Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos without the approval of Congress. This was followed 5 months later by the War Powers Resolution, a bill barring a president from sending the military into combat anywhere in the world for more than 60 days without congressional authorization or a declaration of war. The circumstances elevating Ford to the presidency also constrained him. President Nixon had appointed him vice president in 1973, after Vice President Spiro Agnew resigned in disgrace for accepting bribes. He had become president 8 months later after Nixon resigned in disgrace due to the Watergate scandal. His unpopular decision to pardon Nixon was courageous, but further weakened his accidental presidency.